It's warm and cuddly.
Hello and welcome to Wrap, the Ranking Attack podcast. Oh, done it again. Shit a brick.
Ranking Attack. What's wrong with that?
Welcome to Wrap, the Ranking Attack podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm still Shane.
It's Wednesday. How the fuck is it Wednesday, Shane?
It's flying by the week as usual. I don't know. I mean, it's Thursday tomorrow at least.
It is. It's 7 days since the last time we've sat on this sofa and actually done the podcast.
It feels just like yesterday.
It does. So we're back for a Week 7 preview. We're going to dip into another poor unsuspecting pros rankings and dissect them. Then we're going to pick our catnip and kryptonite players. We're going to highlight our game of intrigue. And then there's a bit of trade talk. And finally, we're going to climb up as ever that old worn out rope ladder to our fantasy trust tree.
It's warm and cuddly.
So let's get into it. How did you do last week?
Don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's a perfect example of losing focus. You know, that mid-season lull.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say,
Bye week's killing you, or
bye week hurt for sure. And just a couple poor decisions, and you wind up 0-3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could have won one of them if I had started, let's say, a guy named John Brown, instead of, Brandon Cooks, let's say. But yeah, 0-3 is 0-3, leaving me 500, I think, in two of my leagues. 4-2 in another. It's not looking that great anyway. So it's bad decisions.
Playoff bubble.
Yeah, playoff bubble, and yeah, I got to get back in it.
All right.
My fault. How about yourself?
I went 2-1, which I was okay with. I won in our Flea Flick League, despite Lacey not doing anything.
Right.
I think there's a few concerns about Lacey.
Yeah, I've heard, actually, official job share with Starks now.
Really?
This is the word coming out of the Green Bay.
Fuckity fuck.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Stafford got back on it, along with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Yeah. It was overtime, that 50-yard bomb finally to Calvin.
Yeah.
Looked like old times.
That helped. That was, I don't know if you can have music to your eyes, but it was candy for my eyes or something like that.
Music to your eyes. Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
But you had a couple other mistakes, yeah?
I left Martavis Bryant on the bench. I thought I'd actually first week back for a start. Also, I was maybe a bit overconfident on Charkandrick West, but then that's one of these. There's a great quote from one of my favorite books, was Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and it's like the more you pay for a work of art, the more you're inclined to think it's the best and not a fake.
Right.
So I spent a whopping $43 or $47 on Charkandrick West and thought, right, he's worth a flex start.
Yeah, you better get him in there. Yeah.
And I think he ended up with 1 point.
I got to say, I started him in one of my leagues as well. He was another reason of my 0-3. There were many.
I think he killed a lot of people. He was ranked too high last week, I think.
Yeah, well, like you say, that's novelty factor.
Sure.
And if you paid for him, you got to play him, right?
Sure.
Right?
Fair enough. Okay, and now it's time to look back at our Week 6 picks. Last week we were looking at Andy Behrens over on Yahoo.
Do we really have to look back?
All right, okay. It wasn't too bad.
We do it week to week. We might as well do it.
What went right, what went wrong?
Week 6 was bad.
So let's start with your Week 6 picks for overrated, and that was Frank Gore. He was ranked 10th, and he ended up 18th.
Ooh, I did great. Oh, yeah, right. So that's sort of a hit, I suppose, right? 8 points ain't great. Yeah, he still did all right, like 80 yards or something like that, right? 78, I guess, right? And a couple of catches. But yeah, I mean, if you started him, you weren't pissed off, I guess. But yeah, he finished below what they said, right?
Yeah.
What was your overrated?
Actually, I went overrated. I thought I kind of whiffed on this one as well in a way. I mean, only by a couple of picks. I went with Luck, and I thought he was overrated at 5th, actually.
Against the Pats last week.
Yeah, I thought the Pats were just going to serve a beatdown on the Colts, and actually that didn't happen. It was a much closer game than we thought it might be up until the last sort of final few, last 10, 15 minutes, I suppose.
Right, and the Pats just kind of powered by.
Yeah, and then you had that stupid fake punt.
What was that? It's like that Whalen guy, right?
Yeah,
apparently
Griff Whalen.
Yeah, they didn't even practice it or something.
It was the first time, or the person that normally did it was injured.
Okay.
And that was the first time he'd ever had to do it. And essentially he'd been told, the moment you feel essentially someone touching your ass, snap the ball.
And that's what he did.
And that's what he did.
It looked ridiculous.
Regardless of what anyone... Because apparently what they were trying to do is they were trying to freak out the Pats to trying to change their...
defensive...
trying to get their formation, not just their formation changed, but also the people on the field.
Okay.
And they were going to try and get them for a penalty of 12 men on the field.
Oh, so they wanted to panic, basically.
Essentially.
Right?
But the Pats saw it, followed the ball, and what you go. Anyway, so Luck actually ended up third. He got back with 27 points.
Actually, I saw he wound up with exactly the same amount of yards as Brady.
Yeah.
312. Right?
Yeah, 312, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So in comparison to how we've seen him play at the rest of the season, then actually, it wasn't a bad first game back.
No, so he finished third? Is that what you have there?
He finished third and he was ranked fifth, and I thought he was overrated for that, and actually he was slightly underrated. But
a little bit of a miss, yeah. Not as bad as the miss on my under pick here, right?
You picked Ellington, who was... I think ranked 43rd.
Wow, look at that. All right, so they had him ranked 43rd. I said to pick him. Yeah, if you picked him, you probably weren't jumping for joy, right?
No.
But I guess it's a hit, I suppose. He finished
he got 4 points.
He finished 34th? Is that what
No. He was ranked 34th,
and
he ended up 43rd.
So it's a miss. I gotcha.
Other way around.
Yeah, I did feel that Chris Johnson was going to be phased out. Ellington was going to be phased in, but it really didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
It didn't at all happen. One run. Yikes.
Yeah, 1 run. He got 2 receptions for 47 yards.
Sort of saved the day, but not quite enough to make it a hit.
Not really. I mean, he would have got you 6 points in PPR, but...
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from Ellington going forward. I really do think he is the most talented back there.
Long term, absolutely. I mean, I can't see Chris Johnson sticking around for more than this season.
No, of course.
David Johnson seems to be a situational back, I think. He's got those big plays.
Enough to take enough of the load off of Ellington, who's a bit frail, as we know.
Yeah.
That should make Ellington a decent play week to week, but
You'd hope so.
We'll see. Who was your underpick last week?
Actually, I went for Bolden. He was 28th.
Okay.
He actually ended 25th.
So he predicted 28th.
And I thought that he was underrated. I think I predicted top 18, top 20 for him.
Okay, so you just missed.
Just missed. He went for 5 receptions for 102 yards on 9 targets. So that's not too bad.
Right.
The difference was that, I mean, when we were talking about it, when we were looking at that game, I thought, okay, the wide receiver, the San Francisco wide receivers are going to go off on this one. They did. It was Torrey Smith, actually, who got fewer yards but ended up with a touchdown.
He got the TD to put him over the top.
And he ended up being the 10th best wide receiver that week. So, 28th, finished 23rd, so he was a little underrated.
So a couple misses, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, and a couple of close hits.
More or less. So what are we looking at this week, Sam?
This week, Week 7 preview. This week we're looking at Dalton Del Don on Yahoo. Now, I picked him essentially for the name.
Dalton Del Don, the alliteration, yeah?
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right. So, what should we start with, me or you?
I will start with you. So let's start with your underrated. You picked Landry Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch all of his action last week. I've seen most of the highlights now. But this week, he's probably going to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers. Apparently Vic was showing a picture of his torn
hamstring.
Yeah, something slightly torn. Roethlisberger's not going to be back, I don't think, this week either. So Landry should be the guy. Going up this week against Kansas City, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, he's ranked in the mid-20s as a quarterback, and I think he's got to be I think he's a consideration to start even.
Really?
I'm not going to say top 10. But I think he could be a top 15 quarterback.
He could be a sneaky start.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're hurting in a bye week, and you need somebody to replace Aaron Rodgers, for example, this weekend. Yeah. Which I do. He's going up against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have given up the 5th most points
to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's,
so I think a blow up is possible here, right?
Mm-hmm. And they tend to pile on the points.
Yeah, I mean, they're not afraid of running up the score, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the kind of thing that could happen this weekend. The Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Last weekend, Antonio Brown did almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Le'Veon caught just one pass out of the backfield. Yeah. So I really do think you're going to have bounce-back weeks from both those guys.
Fine.
Plus, you've got a little freak.
Exactly.
Alien, I think we call him.
The alien.
So if we look at your underrated pick, it's quite related, my friend.
Yeah, actually it is. So we've gone for somehow we actually gone for both the Pitt players. So you went Landry Jones, I'm going with Martavis Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's massively underrated by Del Don here. He's got him at 20th in standard and 33rd in PPR.
Bizarre.
Which seems ridiculously low. Kansas City are worst in the league against wide receivers, giving up a whopping 32.5 points.
That's a 10.
Bryant, it was his first game back last week, and you wouldn't know it.
No.
He had that 4-game suspension, then it was bye week, and then he had...
they didn't dress him.
And they didn't dress him in week 5 or something like that. Anyway.
Week 6, yeah.
No,
week 5.
Week 5. So, yeah, he missed the 4, and then he was injured week 5. So he looked great. He got 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, got you 25 points in standard scoring.
A lot of that came towards the end of the game, but we were watching that together.
We were, yeah. It was those 2 sort of massive throws. 2 throws from Landry Jones, and then he just broke the tackles and he was on his way.
Well, that one run down the sideline, and he had like 4 guys converging, and then he cut left.
Cut inside.
Dude, it was just like he was playing against children.
Yeah, it was like a knife through butter.
Yeah. So
so much for being rusty out of the gates.
Dude, he really did look good. I'm going to go with that. So 20th, 33rd, yeah. He's
I could see him top 15 easily. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, even with something like this against Kansas City, you can see Brown and Bryant being in the top 15.
Both, yeah.
I
agree. So our overrated picks of the week.
Okay.
Start with me?
Yeah, let's go with you.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be the first to use the word recency bias.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing this a bit earlier, and I think case in point here is the tight end for the Saints, Ben Watson. A lot of people are piling on the bandwagon because of what he did last week, right?
Yeah.
So
his career game after 10 years in the league.
He's been around a long time. Suddenly he goes crazy. And this DDD guy, Dalton Del Don, picks him 9th. So a tight end
too high.
A tight end 1 because of one game. I'm saying no. Ben Watson's out of the top 20.
Yeah, I would say so. And the Colts aren't bad against the tight end. I mean, they're in the top 3rd of the league and everything. So it's just because again, we've spoken about this a bit, but just because one guy had a decent week, then really I don't think you can rate him that high.
No, he's not 9th. I mean, okay.
It's not as if he's going against, if he was going against Oakland, maybe we'd understand it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a top 20, but he's not a tight end 1.
No, definitely not.
He's definitely overrated at 9th.
Yeah.
Who do you think, my friend?
I've got another one that really I found quite strange was LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah, that ranking jumped out at me as well as we were looking through, right?
Totally. It was so he's got him at 13th. And the thing I don't get, and this is what I mean, I don't really understand sometimes people put their rankings. Sometimes they put 2 players in the same position from the same team, so close together. For example, he's also got, I think, Cooks and Snead together in the wide receiver ranking, which I find strange. So he's got Blount 13th, but he's got Dion Lewis 12th.
Okay.
13th seems way too high for Blount. The Jets have a great run defense, the best in the league. They're only allowing 10 points to running backs per game, which is tiny. Okay, I know this is New England, and New England, they always enjoy playing the Jets.
Of course, yeah.
But they've only given up 1 rushing touchdown so far this year.
So I mean, they stopped backs like Blount, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's almost like you couldn't decide between Lewis and Blount. It's like, well,
so go with both. Fine, and he's had 2 really big games in terms of fantasy points this year. And both of them have come against the Jacks and the Colts, who are 5th and 12th worst, respectively.
Yeah, he always puts up big numbers against the Colts, and so I do agree. This is again recency bias. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
He watched the game last week, so look at the numbers, and he did go crazy, of course, but he goes crazy against the Colts all the time.
Yeah,
he's playing the Jets this week. Hello.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I was going to make this pick as well, so you make it, right?
So I would say 13th is too high. You'd be lucky if he got top 20 this week.
Oh yeah, he's outside the top 20. I mean, he's a flex possibility.
Yeah,
but
I would
say so.
He's
not an RB2, I don't think, this week.
No.
Dion Lewis is going to be the guy. If any running backs get points for the Patriots against the Jets.
Agreed. And now it's time to dig into our kryptonite and catnip picks. And as always, we're going to look back a little bit on week 6 because this is where we pick up the points.
No. All right, let's start with me then. My catnip pick last week was Charkandrick West. Try to say that 6 times. Unfortunately, no. He finished outside the top 50. 33 yards, right?
9 carries.
Yeah, 1 reception, a fumble.
Yeah, and that was a lost fumble, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, of course, he did run the ball more than Niall Davis. I guess he's the lead back, but definitely nothing like catnip. Last week, it's another miss. Where was I? Yeah, I'm looking at your catnip.
This would be a we, maybe, because this was a.
We did talk about it together.
We did, yeah.
We'll give this one to you, my friend.
So this was. I went with Lamar Miller, and in the write-up of the preview of that game, I was saying that the Finns really need to get back to their ground game and remember that they've got a star running back with them. And fortunately, they did. Hopefully Campbell's going to keep pushing and riding Lamar Miller. The Finns won. Yeah. And he ended up with 113 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I was happy about that too because I had him starting in one of my leagues.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure watching the numbers grow as the day went by.
And I'd like to think that maybe going forward, I'm no great fan of Miami, but if they keep using Miller, you can see it as a good basis for their offense, especially as Tannehill and the wide receivers still seem to be struggling a little.
Yeah, I do agree. I think you got to stay with Miller this week. I'm going to.
Yeah.
He's a hit.
Yeah.
I prefer the kryptonite talk. I'm better at talking about bad players, it seems, than choosing good ones.
So you picked Mike Wallace as your kryptonite.
Yeah, he was ranked in the low 20s, I believe, right? Yeah. Or something like that. And he was a bit banged up going into the game. I thought, no way, I'm going to start Mike Wallace. A hit here, right? Wallace had, 2 catches?
2 catches, 23 yards.
Oh, my God.
And worryingly, that was on 9 targets. Yeah. So I don't know whether that's a question of Bridgewater throwing to him poorly or whether
Wallace is just not getting open, right?
Yeah, or Wallace not getting open. I don't know if any of those were drops. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, he finished outside the top 75, right?
Yeah.
Which is, not startable in any league, no matter the size.
That's going to be a very deep.
I'd say
starting 4 wide receivers, 20-team league.
I think the wide receiver situation in Minnesota is quite interesting.
It is.
You got Charles Johnson banged up. You got the rookie Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Wallace hopefully will, of course, come back and do something decent because he's got to stretch the defense for him.
They signed him as that vertical threat, but he hasn't done much.
Well, he's had a couple games that have been all right. Definitely his kryptonite last week. Who did you have?
I had sticking up in the cold north. I went with Bridgewater.
Oh yeah, okay.
Against KC. He ended up with 9 points, so it was pretty disappointing actually.
That was a good pick.
Yeah, he was disappointing, but it was a good pick for me. Mm-hmm. He ended up 25th of 30 active quarterbacks, so that's including Mettenberger, who came in for Mariota, and Vic, who left the game early for Landry Jones.
Oh yeah, I think Vic wound up with 9 yards? 6
yeah,
yards?
Something like that. Yeah. So in that case, in terms of looking at sort of
guys who played the whole game,
nearly the whole game, then he was 25th of 28.
Yeah,
so basically really poor. 250 yards, only 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, he's on one of my teams, and he got like you say 9 points. It was enough for me to not lose by too much, but it didn't help me out.
But he does seem to be regressing a little.
Yeah,
from that first couple of weeks. There was a lot of hype going into the season.
I was one of the people hyping him, actually.
Yeah.
Well, it's a factor of Charles Johnson a little bit.
Sure. Who was so good, especially the back end of last year.
Yeah, and he really hasn't done anything, and he's been hurt, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So who do we like this week, Sam?
Week 7 preview.
Who's your catnip?
This is I'm really high on this sneaky catnip one, actually. I'm going with Ladarius Green.
That is sneaky.
You
have heard of the other tight end in San Diego?
I have. Okay. I have, exactly. And I know he's playing.
All right, so you're going to still take Green.
I'm still going to take Green. Right? So he's been solid. He's not been fantastic. He had those concussion issues at the beginning of the year. Yep. He's going up against Oakland, who, as we know,
here's your reason.
Constantly forget that there's a tight end in play. Gates is obviously going to have a monster game. I think in most leagues he's ranked first or second.
As he should be.
And as he should be. Del Don has him ranked as a 17th tight end.
Okay.
17th ranked tight end. So nowhere near a start unless you're in much deeper leagues.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers use him in the slot quite a bit, and increasingly they're using 2 tight end sets.
Okay.
And so if someone's going to be covering Gates or trying to cover Gates, then you're expecting that
they'll have the best linebacker or best safety on Gates. This will open up Ladarius.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. So would you even say that there's 2 startable tight ends?
I would say I'm gonna go bold, and I'm gonna say you're going to end up with 2 San Diego tight ends in the top 12.
Wow, I like it. That is very bold, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm not quite as bold.
My cat, so who's yours?
My catnip of the week. I'm going to say the name both ways. A boy named Christine, if you prefer Kristen Michael. Cowboy running back. Hopefully you've heard of him coming over from Seattle. I mean, you hear all the talk. He's a physical freak. He does all the Spark rankings amazingly well. He just never quite got the chance in Seattle. And all the talk this week is he could be the guy. I mean, there's big changes in Big D this weekend, right? We got a different quarterback. We got Castle starting. You got Bryant possibly coming back. I don't think he will. But even just the talk of Bryant coming back is going to be enough to distract the Giants, who they're playing, by the way. They're in New York.
Yeah.
New Jersey. So they're against the Giants. The Giants are giving up the 9th most points against running backs. I think Kristen Michael's going to be the workhorse this weekend. Of course, I mean, Joseph Randall might get his carries. Run DMC is going to get a few carries. But I think Kristen is going to be the first and second down back this weekend. That's what all the talk is, right?
I'm kind of high on him. I'd like to see. He's got that time now under his belt to learn the offense.
Yeah, they had the whole bye week last week.
Exactly, which gives you a whole week to get him running with the ones.
Right, so I mean, you'll see him ranked in the 20s mostly around the league.
So where do you see him going?
Top 20.
Top 20.
I mean, I'm not going to say top 15 even, but he's a top 20 running back this weekend. I'd start him with confidence as an RB2.
Fine, great. Okay. I have got...
you're already in the Ladarius Green.
Exactly, so let's move on to the Kryptonite.
Who do you hate?
Who do I hate? So this is moving on to the Kryptonite. I've gone with Jordan Matthews. So I don't like him, and you know, when we're looking to pick Kryptonite or Catnip, we're looking for these people that you're thinking about: are you going to start? Are you going to sit? Are they going to be your flex? Could they win you your matchup?
Kind of these guys are in between, right?
Exactly. So he's ranked. Del Don has him ranked 27th. Over on CBS, Eisenberg has him 29th, and Richards has him 23rd.
So flexy.
Mm-hmm. He's at Carolina, who are 5th best against wide receivers.
Yeah.
And there was so much hype coming in on Matthews, or on Matthews coming into the season.
Philadelphia, period.
Okay, exactly. And, you know, a lot of them over there in Philly have kind of flattered to deceive. He hasn't registered double digits in standard scoring since week 2.
Okay.
And I don't think he's got over 60 yards since week 2 either. On Monday against the Giants, he went for 59 yards and lost a fumble. And the other thing is he's going up against Carolina. He's going up against Josh Norman.
Yeah, he'll be up against the number 1 guy probably, yeah.
Who's really quickly becoming a top cornerback in the NFL. He's NFC Defensive Player of the Month for September, right? And so far he's got 4 interceptions, 2 of them going for a pick 6.
4 picks and 2 of them for TDs. Well, all right.
And interestingly, I was reading on ESPN actually that and this is maybe a sign of how good Josh Norman is and why I'm not really low on Matthews this week. Seattle only threw twice to his side of the field on Sunday.
The whole game. Wow.
Yeah. Right. So it shows that actually the teams are becoming scared to throw to him.
They're planning around him, basically.
Planning around him. So he's now becoming a problem for offenses. Mm-hmm. And so for someone like Matthews, I think that's really worrying.
They might have to scheme to get him open somehow.
Yep.
I mean, I'm still not convinced about the Eagles.
No, definitely not.
I mean, who's going to be on the other side? Aguilar's still a little bit hurt. Josh Huff hasn't really done much. So not much to take the pressure off Jordan Matthews.
And they've got 3 catching wide receivers as well. Mm-hmm. And Zach Ertz, who's isn't, or Brent Selleck or whatever.
Yeah, the tight ends are taking a little bit, but I'm not big fans of them.
No, I think generally for Philadelphia it's a step backwards this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And your Kryptonite, sir?
A former Eagle, in fact. I went with Jeremy Maclin. Again, this is one of those picks I'm taking because, partially at least, of his physical condition. Yeah, I mean, we could just say concussion protocol, period, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in a concussion protocol is iffy. You're not going to know until late in the week. Even if he's going to get the green light, I'm not happy. He plays for the Chiefs.
Yes.
Alex Smith is his quarterback.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I need to say anything else.
So, Chiefs, Smith, concussion.
Yeah.
That's 3 red flags right there.
Yeah, I'm staying away from Jeremy Maclin. Okay, he's caught a touchdown pass this week, which is more than any of the wide receivers did this year, which is more than all of the Chiefs receivers did last year, but that's one, and that's all they're going to get this
So he must be in their sort of like their ring of fame by now.
Probably. So yeah, I'm staying away from Jeremy Maclin.
Okay. And now it's time for some trade talk, and I thought it'd be interesting to look at someone actually who's at the top of the tree, really.
Yeah, a guy who, well, not the last guy I would have expected to be the top of the fantasy point getting this year. But yeah, at the beginning of the year, I did not see this coming.
Devonta Freeman, we're talking about.
It's bizarre.
And we're going to think about his value. So just to give you some stats, because they are mind-boggling. So he's the number 1 overall fantasy player in standard scoring, and I'm pretty sure in PPR as well.
It's got to be, like you were saying.
Yeah.
All the catches, all the targets.
Yeah, 135 points in standard scoring. Forte is the second, so clearly the best running back. Forte is the second best running back with only 84 points.
But he's the number 1 overall. Like
he's number 1 overall player as well.
It's insane, man.
So he's currently got through 6 weeks of games, 10 touchdowns, 801 yards, including 300 yards in receptions.
And that's what, yeah, I mean, week 1, he wasn't even the starting running back.
No, it was Tevin Coleman. And then Tevin got injured week 2.
Mm-hmm.
So he's leading running backs in receptions and targets with 32 receptions on 41 targets. So he's catching 75% of his balls.
So he's a PPR stud as well.
PPR stud as well. He's had 3 games over 100 yards rushing in the last 4 weeks. And he hasn't been out of the top 11 running backs in standard scoring since week 1.
Amazing.
His fantasy record through 6 weeks is 3, 11, 37, 32, 25, 27.
Yeah, those last 4 weeks are looking, I mean, that's averaging over 30 points a game.
Yeah, it's bonkers. I mean, it's pretty crazy. So, imagine
what's his value?
What's his value? Imagine you're a Devonta Freeman owner. Okay, no, first of all, do you think he's going to be able to maintain this, or do you see him going downward, or where do you see Freeman going to start with?
Well, I mean, I can't see him getting over 30 points a week. No. So he's got to come down a little. I remember him mentioning, I mean, when Coleman got hurt and he was coming into play, the talk was he needed to be a workhorse running back, and he does seem to be thriving on it. I mean, if you remember last year, they didn't let him become the workhorse either.
No.
They split his carries last year. So maybe that's why he was a disappointment last year. So maybe he is this good.
Possibly.
It's hard to tell, but I mean, he's going to come down a notch. But just a notch.
Sure.
Yeah,
so do you think he's on pace for, let's say, 1,600 yards total offense?
It's looking like it, my friend. I mean, even more, possibly. It's looking like more. Well, if he keeps catching the ball, if they keep him... If Tevin Coleman still remains just, let's say, spelling him, I think, yes.
I think so.
So what kind of value does he have in trade talk?
Oh, there we go. So imagine you're the Devonta Freeman owner. I'll throw out, so we've come up with some names, and then we'll sort of think about what we think about him. So
we're the owner.
You're the Devonta Freeman owner. Okay. Do you swap him for Dez?
Interesting. Yeah. So, Dez. I'd love to have Dez on my team. Let me preface my remarks. But I'm going to say no. I'm going to hold on to Devontae. I think there's too many variables at play when we're talking about Bryant. I mean, how healthy is the foot going to be when he comes back? Knowing Dez, knowing Jerry Jones, he's going to push to come back too early, and that could be bad news. So he's not going to be back this week. Hopefully, for his long-term value.
Yeah.
So you don't know when, what, how he's going to be. And then, of course, there's the quarterback situation, right?
Sure, we don't know when Romo's back.
Right. So I'm going to say no.
So you say no, Des.
I'm holding on to Devonta.
Okay, how about AP?
Devonta
Freeman for AP straight up for the rest of the season.
I couldn't not say yes. I have to say yes.
Really?
It's Adrian Peterson. Sure. I mean, sure.
So you'd be happy you'd be confident with the fact that even if he might end up, he could, with him, he's going to probably be a top 3 or 4 running back straight through the season.
It's AP. I'm saying maybe AP doesn't finish number one this year, but he was the number one. Well, maybe not consensus pick this year. Le'Veon was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still want the best running back in football. I still think AP is the best.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to give me AP, I'm taking it.
Okay, fine. So in that case, a couple of packages for you then. Right. So, Larry Fitzgerald and Todd Gurley.
Interesting combination. So yeah, I mean, when we're starting packaging things, it's depending on your needs, of course,
and who you've got on your bench, blah blah blah.
So yeah, I mean, let's just talk straight up value here, right? Fitz and Gurley. Instinct says no. Okay,
you'd be happier with a guaranteed number one running back.
Yeah. God, that's instinct. My reasoning. All right, Fitz has looked great. I know he's a physical machine, but I think he's got to come down a little bit. I mean, we saw what John Brown did last week.
Yep.
Palmer seemed to be locked into John Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Fitzgerald's value comes down. Gurley is a little bit of an unknown. He's looked great those last two games.
Yeah, and he's ranked second, I think, this week.
Yeah. I'm still going to say no.
You're going to say no. See, I think I'd probably do that. I think when you can get two top 10 players, or if you can get a top 10 running back, potential top 10 running back, potential top 10 wide receiver for one top 5 running back, or top 1 running back.
I do agree there's a part of me that wants Gurley.
Yeah. Or you'd be happy to settle for him.
Yeah. Let's agree to disagree.
Okay.
I'm going to say no, but you're right. It's awfully close.
So it is close. So how about Edelman and Gurley? Would that swing it for you if you got Edelman instead of Fitz?
Yes.
So generally you'd prefer Edelman over Fitz for that one, yeah?
Yeah, especially in the PPR. Well, I guess not much more, but yeah, right. I mean, yes, I think Edelman's value is what his value is. He's the same.
Stable, whereas Fitz is on the downward.
I think Fitz is going to come down a little. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say yes to Edelman and Gurley. Okay. Yeah, just to differentiate.
Sure. Interesting.
Both tough calls. I'm going to say no and yes.
Do you own Freeman in any of your leagues?
I don't.
No, I don't. I've got Coleman in a couple and I've just dropped him.
Yeah,
I think his value's gone.
It's a train I missed. I know. I feel bad.
Yeah.
Moving on, my friend.
Game of intrigue.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Or something.
This might be edited out, or might not be.
Okay.
So it's time for our game of intrigue.
Which game are you looking forward to?
I'm looking at, again, just to remind you, this is not necessarily, it's going to be a fun game to watch. Although, actually, the one we picked last week.
What did we have last week? Do you remember?
We had Lions, Bears.
Which wound up
which was good.
Interesting.
And we had Baltimore, San Francisco, which wasn't too bad either.
Surprising, at least.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, all right, I'm with you.
Anyway, this week I'm sticking with the Lions, but I'm going with Vikes Lions.
Okay.
Very different teams, I think. So Lions theoretically have a pretty good offense with Stafford and
They put up
Calvin.
points last week.
They did. They have a wretched defense. The Vikes, on the other hand, have a very good D and a stuttering offense. Like you said, Charles Johnson earlier banged up. Wallace, we're not sure what's happening with him.
We got like mirror image teams, basically.
Exactly. On the upside, I think what's interesting out of this game for me, well, I think on the upside for the Vikes, AP probably is going to have a good game.
Last week was a bizarre outlier, I think. Yeah, I mean, how many carries?
Strange one.
25 for like 50 yards.
That was a strange one.
Yeah, all right. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I'm curious to see if AP bounces back.
And the Lions are 7th worst against the running backs.
Okay.
They're also 8th worst against tight ends, so it'll be interesting to see what Kyle Rudolph does. Mm-hmm. I think he had a touchdown last week, I think.
Okay.
And then for the Lions, Stafford and Calvin looked great last week. Hopefully they're getting back to their potential.
Yeah, we mentioned that one long pass. I mean, just throw the ball up to Megatron. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's weird that he forgot that. Anyway.
It's ridiculous. But then I think in comparison, they were only playing the Bears, and they're definitely not the 85 Bears. They're playing the 2015 Lions, who are... Sorry, the 215 Vikes, who are 8th against wide receivers, and 8th best against wide receivers, and 6th best against quarterbacks.
Okay.
So it's going to be a bit more of a challenge.
All right. Yeah. It's a different team than Chicago, that's for sure.
And then the other one, it will be the Lions running back situation.
Yeah, it's an ugly mess. Zach Zenner.
Well, his ribs are a mess.
Yeah, I know. I picked Zach Zenner up in my 20-team league a couple weeks back, you remember.
And probably dropped him.
Yeah, well, I tried to for Stephon Diggs, but somebody picked him. Anyway.
Some bastard.
So yeah, the running back situation is a mess. What do you think? What's going to come out of that?
Well, I think you've got to look at Riddick. I would say. I mean, out of that, I would say Riddick is now pretty much. Well, I mean, okay,
especially
you've got
Abdullah.
PPR. Sure, especially
PPR, he's a week-to-week start.
Abdullah as well. I mean, it looks though is going to be running back by committee there for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're necessarily sold on either of them as their lead back.
Yeah, well, the fumbleitis that Abdullah has, right?
It's not like that's not great at all.
I'm curious to see what happens there too, my friend.
Yeah. And so your game of the week.
Dun dun dun!
Is
the Jaguars and the Bills. It doesn't sound that exciting.
No,
off the tongue doesn't.
Especially not at 6:30 in the morning Eastern time.
No, I know. This is. I mean, I think this is part of the intrigue, right? The game is in London, right? Mm-hmm. To me, actually, the big thing I'm watching for this week, though, is the Yahoo live stream.
Yeah.
How's it going to work? Does anybody know? I'm hoping to get it up on time and to see if it actually works outside of the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't even heard it. I presume you can, but I have not. No, you definitely can. It's an international thing.
All right. Well, there we go. Okay, so we're in. So Yahoo stream, legal, everything going on good. Games in London, early start. There's trouble in Buffalo. I mean, let's say you got a quarterback who you're not sure about. Tyrod Taylor might not start. You got Sammy Watkins is a bit banged up as well.
Yep.
He was hopping around on crutches last week.
Don't I know about it?
You don't know exactly who's starting, who's not starting. I'm curious to see. I mean, if you have EJ Manuel, it's not such a great game to watch, but whatever.
Yeah.
Jaguars, same situation. They got a lot of injuries that you're curious about too, to see what happens, right?
Julius Thomas.
Yeah. Can the guy stay healthy? I mean, you saw last weekend what he can do, right? I mean, I think he was top 10 targets, got a touchdown.
When he's healthy, he's an awesome tight end.
This is the thing. He changes the team. He's a game changer, right? T.J. Yeldon, the rookie running back's banged up. Even Allen Robinson's a bit banged up, I saw, right? So you got a lot of, I don't know, who's going to play, who's not going to start. I'm going to be watching Sunday. Oh, God. We're going to have to get up. You're going to have to get up really early to see
on the other hand,
active.
It's a nice thing to sit in front of after Sunday lunch.
In Europe, it'll be all right, obviously. But I think fantasy players in the States are going to be pulling their hair out, right? Like setting their alarms early.
Well, yeah, because Pacific time it's 6:30. It's 6:30 kickoff.
It's crazy early. It's crazy early.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, there's a bunch of other factors as well. I mean, apparently the Bills, you were saying, flew in early to London.
Yeah, they're kind of doing it the other way around. I mean, a lot of the previous one, which was Dolphins and Dolphins Jets a couple of weeks ago, they decided to come on the Thursday. I think they flew in on the Thursday. They had Friday practice, or Friday to acclimatize, Saturday practice, and then Sunday they played the game. The Bills have taken a different route, and actually they flew in. They arrived in London 17 hours after their game finished in Buffalo on Sunday.
Wow,
so they arrived Monday morning, probably a bit jet lag.
But they got the week, right?
They've got the whole week there to acclimatize. So we'll see actually if that's going to be the way forward for teams in the future.
Yeah. I'm also curious to see the team morale, I guess, in Buffalo. A lot of talk this week. I saw even the headline on NFL.com. The defensive players, Mario Williams, a few others, stepping forward and bitching about the play selection. This is a problem Rex Ryan has. It's been a feature of Rex Ryan teams.
Yeah.
Right? The defense and the offense not getting along, right?
He had that with the Jets.
Yeah, exactly the same. So, I mean, is Greg Roman as the offensive coordinator going to be the same as Schottenheimer was for the Jets? Right?
Sure.
So I'm curious to see.
Which you've been reading about recently.
Yeah, there you go.
The Collision Low Crosses.
A great book, by the way. I love it. So yeah, I'm a little bit leery of let's say the team morale of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Did they get back to the run? I mean, you'd think they would. It's a Rex Ryan team, but he just doesn't seem to assert himself with the offense.
No.
You'd think he'd learn a lesson, but we'll see.
No, we will.
Anyway.
And then finally, it's that time again, ladies and germs. It's time for the Fantasy Trust Tree.
Our favorite part.
And this time we've got an email from a Canadian listener.
Oh, curious.
Interesting.
A native of the true North home and free.
Exactly. So, and here's his letter. Dear Ranking Attack, I've recently got a promotion and we're relocating to Ottawa from Montreal.
Oh, interesting.
Unfortunately, space is at a premium, and there's only enough room on the portrait wall for 2 of these second-tier faces. Which of them do you think are deserving candidates that I'll be happy to look at this weekend over my celebratory dinner on Sunday? John Brown, Jarvis Landry, Terrance Williams, Torrey Smith, Brandon Cooks, Golden Tate.
Wow.
Merci. And that was from Justin in Ottawa.
Merci. Oh, Justin. Oh. I think I might know who this is, and it ain't Bieber.
Isn't he your prime minister?
It ain't Justin Bieber. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're probably moving into 24 Sussex Drive, my friend Justin. Yeah, I mean, lots of events up in Canada, but this is about football. Who are we going to start? So we got 2 positions.
Got 2 so you're starting 2 of these wide receivers.
Brown, Landry, Williams, Smith, and Cooks.
And Tate.
Oh, and Tate. God,
yeah, so you got to pick 2 from 6.
All right, so let's make one easy pick, shall we?
Right.
John Brown.
John Brown. I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right, good. So you start John Brown versus Baltimore.
Yes,
definitely. Baltimore has been disappointing. You saw, hopefully, what John Brown did last week. 10 catches, 190 yards, something crazy.
Cards are at home.
Yeah, so I start John Brown.
Tiny John Brown.
Wow, what are we going to do, though? You got one position for Landry. Jarvis Landry versus Houston this week?
Yeah,
right?
Jarvis Landry versus Houston. Terrence Williams at the Giants. Torrey Smith at home to the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Cooks at Indiana. And Golden Tate versus Minnesota.
Wow. This is a weekly problem that this person's obviously having.
It is.
Who else do you start from this? Well, I mean, it's not a mess per se.
No.
Let's go process of elimination.
Right. So who don't you like out of
My first cross-off is Terrence Williams.
Okay, so yours and my first would be Torrey Smith.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, so
fine. So we're down to Landry, Cooks, and Tate.
And this is exactly where I get stuck. So Landry, a PPR machine.
Mm-hmm.
Got a touchdown last week, but not so many catches, actually. Brandon Cooks should be flying. Hasn't been so much.
Indiana not great against wide receivers.
Okay.
In fact, Indiana not great against anybody.
All right, yeah, the defense. Golden Tate versus Minnesota. Interesting. I mean, Golden had a lot of targets 2 weeks back, I remember, but didn't really convert much.
No, he's been a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. God damn.
I'm tending towards Landry here.
You're leaning towards Landry. I'm going to lean towards Cooks, and just to be on the other side.
All right.
What do you like about Landry?
I think, well, first of all, Houston. Houston, okay. I think, anytime anyone who's playing Houston.
Right.
Again, I think you've got this positive bounce over Campbell.
All right, the new coach still.
New coach. Like you said, he's a PPR demon. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think that Tannehill can finally get something together with him. If he can go off for, if he's your second best wide receiver, if he can go off for 80 and a touchdown, you're happy. 60 and a touchdown, you're happy.
I'm actually, if it's PPR, Justin, I agree.
Yeah.
I might go Landry. But if it's standard, I'm going Cooks.
Standard Cooks.
Yeah, he's just that more of a deeper threat, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
The speed. Indy has a little bit of a questionable defense. Yeah, okay, I'm going Cooks standard, Landry PPR.
Great. And on that note, it's time to wrap up the Wrap podcast. I've been Sam.
I'm Shane.
And we'll see you for week 8 next week. Bye.